Thank you, Vrinda, for amazing Keertans. Thank you, Ramdaji Prabhu. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Today, I'm taking the role of my husband. We have a very good fortune of um, having her great Shraddha Mataji here. So let's give her a round of applause. I have a privilege of introducing her. She has been practicing bhakti for close to 2 decades. And one of her main services is to inspire corporate leaders and to be engaged and involved in spreading the spiritual knowledge through book distribution. She regularly gives classes at ISKCON of Silicon Valley and many other corporate places as well, and even online as well. Professionally, she is a technical program manager, and she brings that experience to preaching message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and spreading spiritual knowledge to one and all. She is one of those stalwart devotees who not only has a wonderful sadhana herself, and she inspires so many hundreds of devotees like all of us, and she guides so many people from our congregation. So it is our good fortune that we have the opportunity to hear from Shraddha Mataji. And so all of you can take advantage of the session and you can ask any questions if you have at the end of the session or at any time, whenever Mataji allows us to. But thank you so much for coming and accepting to come. And thank you so much, Mataji.
When there are gaps like this, we just keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Alright, so let's get going. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for coming here to the Gita session. And it's just a little, I think it's getting reflected now. Okay, so welcome to the Gita session. It means a lot to come on and make time on a Saturday evening and attend when there's so many other opportunities and so many other attractions and temptations all over the place to come here and dedicate your time and energy to Krishna. That's amazing. So we can give a round of applause to ourselves. We'll get started with the session today with a brief prayer to the spiritual master. Tasmai Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. So when we do a Hare Hare Bol, we have to do some exercise. Okay, one more time. Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. Okay, we have to make sure that the neighbors know that there is a Gita Katha going on over here. Okay, that's the volume we keep today. Yeah, is the volume too high? I keep on hearing. If you all are okay with it, I can live with this. No problem. Okay, then fine. Yes, that'll be, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, just also wanted to thank Syama Kumari Mataji for the glorious words that she gave me. And I wanted to point out that there are different levels of consciousness at which people are. The lowest level of consciousness is when a person, sees faults in others and they are not even there. Have you come across such a thing ever? Right? And the second ones are, there's a fault and they find it and they tell it. Right? Then the next level is when we find that there are people who have got good qualities and they will, just ignore, okay, fine, something is good there, and they just ignore that. Then the next level of consciousness is when people see something good and then they appreciate their good qualities in others. Right? And the last level, which is the highest level, is that these are really the Mahatmas when good qualities do not exist and they still see it in that person. So that is Syama Kumari Mataji's, rendition. I'm not worthy of all the nice words that she said to me, but Mahatmas do see a future potency in others, and that's why they say that, ahead of time of people. So I'm feeling so blessed that on this wonderful Saturday, I'm here with so many devotees. I've heard so many good things about you from Shyam Jagannath Prabhu and from Shyam Kumari Mataji. So I'm really excited to be here with you. So welcome once again to the Bhagavad Gita session. Before we go into it, I wanted to acknowledge Srila Prabhupada, who translated the Shastras into English, and that was the only way I could read and get access to this fantastic wisdom which comes from India. I would also like to acknowledge and thanks and pay obeisances to my spiritual master, his guest, Vaishya Das Prabhu, And also to Shivas Pandit Prabhu, His Grace Shivas Pandit Prabhu. Shyam Kumari Mataji, has Shivas Pandit Prabhu come and address this group ever or no? Okay, well, he's going to come. Okay, so I'm just, yeah, he actually taught me how to go deeper into the Shastras and read the Shastras scrutinizingly. Otherwise, I had read the entire Bhagavad Gita when my mom was, on her deathbed. I recited the whole Bhagavad Gita, did not understand a word of it because it was all in Hindi and Sanskrit. It's only when I read the Bhagavad Gita as it is in English and how nicely and simply Prabhupada had put it that, I really started taking devotional service seriously. And then last but not the least, I would like to thank my husband, Rakesh Prabhu. He constantly and without any complaints supports me in all the activities that I do. It means a lot. He has to do a lot of sacrifices to adjust to my crazy schedule. So thank you so much to him as well. And last but not the least, I'd like to thank Shyam Jagannath Prabhu and Shama Kumari Mataji, and of course, Shriyan and Gopal. I still remember when Shriyan was small, he wouldn't even talk to me, he would just run away. So I'm just glad he's allowed me into his home today. So, and of course, Gopal here. So these are just customary things I need to mention here. I'm using some text. So we have all come over here on this Saturday, and so just want you to know that what have you won? Right? We have assembled here, we should come here, we win something here, right? So what we're going to talk about today is how to get peace majorly, and then of course, happiness a little bit there. We'll touch upon that, okay? So the thing is that, when we win something like this in our lives, right? The question then is that if whatever results are going to happen, whatever results are going to come into your life, are we in a position to handle all that's going to happen to us? Are we ready enough? Are we strong enough to do that? Right? So, suppose you win a $1 million lottery. Or what are you going to do with that? Do you have plans? Anybody?
Suppose that is supposed to be.
Sorry, go ahead.
That is dream. Actually, 1 million lottery.
Is it dream?
Dream.
But suppose you get it. Suppose Krishna comes and you win the lottery. What are you going to do with that? You don't know.
Invest.
You'll invest it? Okay. Yeah. And then if you get $2 million, you'll do a lot of shopping. Yeah, yeah. And then, it'll be gone like that. I can guarantee you. And then as soon as somebody, it's like, now this is not enough. So there's a little story about a man, and he was a poor old man, and he was living in a village, and he somehow won a lottery. It was a big amount, like $5 million type of amount there. And so the check came, and somehow the check got opened in the post office, and the postman saw that there was this big check, and this was going to go to this man. And so he said, "Oh my goodness, this is a huge amount of money, and I really don't want that man to, see that and then die of shock. He should at least, he should actually live to enjoy that $5 million." So he said, "Okay, fine, I'll go and I'll break the news gently to him." So he said, "Okay," he knocks at the door, and then the person opens it. He says that, "Well, I've got some news to you." And, "Well, what's the news, buddy?" And so he says, "Well, I think you have got a lottery. Now you guess, how much do you think you've got?" So he said, "Yeah, 50,000. And so he said, "Okay." So he started going from that point onwards. He said, "Okay, if you win $50,000, what are you going to do?" So he said, "Okay, I've got this, and this, and I'll go and, spend all of that." And then he said, "Okay," so he raises it up $100,000, like that. He goes to $1 million. So the old man has plans how to spend $1 million. He goes to $2 million, $2 million, and $3 million. He has got some plan. $4 million. He starts scratching his head. He doesn't know, but comes up with something after a lot of thinking. And then he said, so this man is feeling good. Postman is feeling good that okay, he survived. He survived. So then he said, "Okay, then 5 million. What are you going to do?" And so this old man scratches his head and he says, "I'm going to give it to you."
Oh.
And the postman died of heart attack. So we need to be strong to handle whatever things are being said to us over here. Okay. So let's do a little bit of a heart check over here. Okay. So what I want you to do is to take your left hand and put it on your laps. Okay. And then take your right hand and put it on your heart. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to just think for the next 10 seconds what all is going on in your heart. Okay, slowly open your eyes. Anybody wants to share? There was nothing or nothing to share. There was nothing in the heart, clean heart. Good one. What else? What were the other thoughts that came to your mind when you were absorbing and observing your heart? Anything? Anybody was thinking about prasadam? I am. Okay, so well, heart is hard. We talk about that. There's artery, there's blocked artery, then stents they put, and all that kind of things that they do. But this is not a class on medicine. It's a different kind of a class. We're going to look at the heart in a very different way, right? So when we look at the heart from the Shastric perspective, our Bhagavad Gita talks about that there are two weaknesses of the heart, right? Do you know what are the two weaknesses of heart? Anybody read the Bhagavad Gita, scrutinizingly? Anybody like that? Okay, it's okay. So in the purpose of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says that, explains, and he says that the most important thing one has to surmount is the weakness of the heart. Imagine, remember the postman, he died, right? So the first fall down is, so there are two weaknesses of the heart. The first fall down is caused by the desire to lord it over the material nature. What it basically means is, you see something over here, I want to enjoy. Lording it means enjoy and control. That's what we want to do. And so what happens when you try to do that is that you give up the transcendental loving self Lord. Right? Krishna, Surisam, Maya hai antakar, jahan Krishna, tahan nahi Maya adhikar. Means that wherever Krishna is there, it is light, Maya is darkness. So as soon as if the room is full of darkness and you come and switch the light on, then the darkness is gone. Right? So as soon as Krishna consciousness comes to your life, Maya goes away. But if Maya is there, then light is not there. Krishna is not there, right? So that's the first weakness of heart that comes to mind, is that we want to lord it over the material nature. And then the second weakness of the heart is that as we increase this propensity to enjoy this material nature or anything which is there in the material nature, then we get attached to it and we also want to possess it. For example, if a neighbor over here has got a very good model of the car, I don't know, I'm not a car person. What's the latest craze in the car world? Prabhu's, huh? Lucid, is it? Oh, okay. So if there's a lucid car parked outside, then we constantly keep watching it, and then the friend gives us a ride, so we like it, right? It's a nice car. It heats the seat, it's very nice, comfortable seat, and all that, right? And then after some time, we want to buy the car. So that's the second weakness of the heart. We want to enjoy matter, and we want to possess it, also. Right? So basically, why do you want to possess it? Because we want to enjoy it. And how do you want to enjoy it? We want to enjoy it actually separate from the Lord. So Shastra says get up in the morning. It's like, no, I don't want to get up in the morning. I watch the late night show on the television. I want to sleep. You pull the curtain, pull the blanket a little bit more and go to sleep. Put the alarm on snooze, like that, right? So we want to don't want to connect ourselves with the Lord. I'm not saying about you, but I'm talking in general. People don't want to do that, right? They want to be happy, independent of the Lord. Now, the interesting thing is that we're trying to pursue happiness, right? We want to pursue happiness, pursue happiness, pursue happiness. And our whole life is spent in just pursuing happiness. Now, even after pursuing happiness for 1 decade, 2 decades, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decades, 9 decades, right? We still don't get it. That it's a futile effort. But little Bhakta Prahlad, he was a young boy of 5 years old, and he's in his school. And he has got some words of wisdom to share with us here, which I'm repeating here. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, some famous 7th canto, 7th chapter of Bhagavatam. So this is the verse over here, and I would like to have participation. So I'll start with the tune, and you please sing along with me, okay? Sukhaya dukkha mokshaya sankalpa iha karminaha sadapnoti haya dukkham anihaya sukhavitaha. So it says that in this material world, every materialist desires to achieve happiness and diminish his distress, and therefore he acts accordingly. Right? So how do you think a person acts accordingly? What does it mean by acting accordingly? Any ideas? Any suggestions? when a person wants to achieve happiness, what do? We consume materials. How can you consume materials? You have to purchase them. Okay, and now how do you purchase them? You need money. How do you get money? You have to work, right? So this is the way you act accordingly. According to your desires, you will be acting, right? So I want money, I want to enjoy, I want that lucid car, so I have to work really hard, I want to get that promotion, I want to get bonus, so on and so forth, like that, right? So you act accordingly. So this is my pursuit of happiness. I thought that I'll get a car and I'll be happy in it, but I have to work really hard for that. And so Prahlad is saying, actually, however, one is happy as long as one does not endeavor for happiness. And amazing. As soon as one begins his activities for happiness, his conditions of distress begin. Is this true or true? Right? Anybody disagree? Right? Okay. So he says that. And then, so why does this pursuit of happiness bring unhappiness to us? Why is it like that? What's wrong with pursuing happiness? Go ahead.
If you want one house and then you get it, and then you see someone else with a bigger house, you'll just want that.
There you go, right? And what is behind that thing? What's going on?
The desire for happiness.
The desire, the materialistic desire, the mind, right? And it's our biggest enemy. However, the mind, if it's controlled, can also become our biggest friend, right? So there's hope, there's good news there, okay? And so, even though we try to be happy, right? Even if we get the lucid, I really don't know what's a lucid. I'll have to look up lucid to find out, but anyway. Yeah, so even if I get the lucid, after I get the lucid, what could be some ways why I would be unhappy? One is the neighbor gets a better model of lucid. Okay. What could be some other reasons you'd be unhappy? Yeah, kids are going strong. Akshay, go ahead.
The car broke.
The car can break, yeah? And so car breaks and you're unhappy. Could you also be unhappy anticipating that the car can break? Right? And the insurance goes up and the car could be stolen. Neighbor comes and wants to borrow your car, right? So many things, car maintenance, gas prices go up. And we thought we were going to get happy. Lucid, but it's electrical car. Yeah, there you go. So the reason for that is, right? And that is explained again by Prahlad Maharaj, Canto, but the chapter is 9. So let's do that together. Kutra shisha shruti sukha mrik trishni rupaha Kvedam kalevaram ashesha rujam virohaha Nirvidyate na tujano yat apiti vidman Kamanalam madhulavesham yam durape. It says that in this material world, every living entity desires some future happiness, which is exactly like a mirage in the desert. Where is water in the desert? Or in other words, where is happiness in this material world? As for this body, what is its value? It's merely a source of various diseases. Is it or is it not? Anything hurting? Any part of your body hurting? Yes?
My leg.
His leg is hurting. And how old are you? Talk about what we talk about the 29th and the 39th of this As for this body, what's its value? It's merely a source of various diseases. The so-called philosophers, scientists, and politicians know this very well. But nonetheless, they aspire for temporary happiness. Happiness is very difficult to obtain, but because they are unable to control their senses, they run after the so-called happiness of this material world and never come to the right conclusion. And what is the right conclusion? The right conclusion is Vasudeva Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha. That Krishna or Vasudeva or God is everything. That is the conclusion that we should be aiming for. That's the conclusion we should get, right? But our situation is very, very different. We are not those who are saying, okay, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, there are other needs, there are other desires, can't give this up, can't give that up, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the situation is that this is a typical consumer's mind, and you can see various kinds of things inside. There's food, there's drinks, and all kinds of things are there. Okay, so what happens? Let's look at our situation here in this material world. Dhyayate vishiyam pumsaha sangastesho pujayate Sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho bijayate. It says that when contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Okay, so what's the flow? What's the first thing that you do? You contemplate, you're thinking, right? And then a person, once you think about it, what happens? You get attached to it, right? And then after being attached, lust or desire, right? And then when the desire is not fulfilled, anger comes, right? So desire in Sanskrit is called kama, and anger in Sanskrit is called krodha, right? So kama and krodha. So they say that krodha is the younger brother of kama. So first desire comes, if not fulfilled, then krodha appears very quickly on that, right? So let's look at the word contemplate. So what exactly does contemplation mean here? So in the 1590s, contemplation in the English word meant reflect upon, ponder, study, view mentally, meditate. Right? Have you ever done viewing things mentally? Like the lucid, you can always view it mentally, right? And then in the 1600s, this also came to mean and 1860s to intend or have in view as a future act. How dangerous is that? Okay? You are contemplating, you're seeing things, you're getting attached to them, you have desire, and then there is things going on in our mind which are showing you future actions that you're going to do, right? That's how people commit murders, right? They commit robberies, they commit fraud, things like that. That's what's going on inside their minds. Okay? So, while contemplating the objects of the senses, the person develops attachment. So we talked about that. So the next question is, but to everybody here from what we've talked so far is, when does anger arise? Once something happens against your wish, right? And wish is nothing but a desire, right? Wish is a desire. And that desire did not get completed. Can you give me some example of anybody wants to share? You had anger? The leaders are not acting according to how we want them to act. So there's anger, Prime Minister is not right, President is not good, spouse is not behaving, kids are not behaving, boss doesn't listen, boss is like that, right? So the question here is that once anger arises in our body, there's a lot that goes on inside the body when anger arises. But my simple question to all of you is that when the anger arises, is there any peace? No, right? And what's the topic for today? How to get peace, right? So now at least we have seen one roadblock that comes our way, which is anger. Okay? And anger is actually a wasted emotion. It does nothing good for you. It actually does a lot of bad things for you. It's just waste. And sometimes people, they just sit alone and they're angry. I mean, at least if you're angry at someone in front of you, at least there's some use or abuse that came out of it. But sitting inside alone with your mind and then getting angry at somebody is only going to consume you. Right? And getting angry, thinking bad things about that person is like, drinking your cup of poison and you're thinking and wanting the other person to die. That's not going to happen. So that bad anger is that bad and has that bad effect on us. And anger actually is so dangerous that all the devotional activities that you do, they add up. So we have what is known as devotional credits, right, or devotional bank balance, or we call sukriti in Sanskrit. So when you get angry, your bank balance of sukriti diminishes. And it's very important to have a bank balance of sukriti because that's the only one that's going to lead you to progress in devotional service. Right? So sukriti is required. And now here's anger is opening that tap and the draining off all the bank balance that you have there. Right? So very, very important to catch anger, before it really, really consumes you. So we saw that we are observing, we are contemplating on objects, we get attached to them, we have a desire to possess them, enjoy them, and when it doesn't, our wish is not fulfilled, then we get anger, right? Then Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, continues on and says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha Sammoha smriti vikramaha smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho buddhi nasha pranashyati. So from anger, complete delusion arises. Complete delusion. Your capacity to think rationally completely goes. Right? So delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment, memory. Memory gets bewildered. You forget what's the etiquette. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? What am I not supposed to do? All those is lost. Memory is completely wiped out. Control, alt, and delete. Gone. When memory is bewildered, then intelligence is lost. Because there's a hierarchy. In this material world, there's a hierarchy, right? So what is at the lowest level of the hierarchy? It's the dull matter, right? Just matter. For example, this table, right? It's dull matter. It cannot do anything of its own. It doesn't say thing, cannot walk, cannot move. Just dull matter, right? Above the dull matter are the senses. The senses that we have, because senses can gauge, they can, find out, okay, this is so big, there's a nice golden thing on it on top of that. So senses are higher than that. Above the senses is the mind. Above the mind is the intelligence. Okay? And above the intelligence is the soul, exactly, for 100 points. Yeah, so above the intelligence is the mind, and above the mind is is the soul, and above the soul is God. Yeah. And why false ego cannot be above the soul is because false ego is material and soul is spiritual. So spiritual is always higher, and also the subtle is stronger than the gross. So what I mean by that is, for example, this is gross, right? I can move it from here. I can put it there. I can control it to a certain extent. I can do things. I can break it to pieces, right? Air is subtle or gross, more subtle or gross than this, the air around us. Subtle, right? So for me to control this subtle is very difficult. I can't take some air from here and put it there. I cannot stop the tornado if it's coming at me. I cannot do that. So subtle is always higher than the gross. And when I'm trying to, hold off on the air or even water, I'm not able to do that because this is gross. The hands are gross like that, right? So at the lowest level, the gross matter is there, and then we have more subtle is the mind. More subtle than mind is intelligence. More subtle than the intelligence is the soul, and more subtle than the soul is the super soul or God, right? Inside, who's inside the heart, right? So when this intelligence is lost, and the job of intelligence versus mind, what do you think is the job description for mind, and what is the job description for intelligence? Mr. Job, the post job engineer. What do you think the mind does? Sorry? The mind, very good. The mind stores information, it's a database, and it also produces thoughts. So it's just a factory. All that the job of this factory is to produce thoughts. Okay? Can you give me an example of a thought? Go ahead. Prasadam. Good thought. What else? Any other thoughts? No thoughts? Okay.
Mind basically wanders, right? So what you said, prasada.
Right. Mind can constantly wander. Very, very nicely said, right? So the mind does all those things. It's just a factory. Just a factory, it will produce all kinds of thoughts, good and bad both, right? And then above the mind is the intelligence. And what's the work of the intelligence? To discriminate, right? That's the key word. Discriminate between good and bad. To say, okay, this is a bad thought, this is a good thought. And after making this this decision, right? Like in an office, at the lowest level, engineer might collect some information about some software you want to develop. They go to the manager. The manager says, okay, fine, maybe this is a better option. This is not a better option. Goes to the general manager or vice president. The vice president has got to choose. So the choice is always of the soul. Soul is at the higher level. So, but we get delusion and we think that the mind is our, controller, and we get controlled by the mind. So we don't have to do that, right? And that's the practice that we all have to do. So here they're saying that if intelligence is lost, if your power to discriminate between good and bad is gone, right? Then what's going to happen? You'll just fall down again into this material pool. And you'll keep on doing it from verse and verse and verse, right? So, and all comes from contemplating on objects. So this is buddhi nasha, intelligence is lost. So this was a very famous example. I don't know, many of you would have been born here, but this is Mike Tyson, the boxer. So on June 28, 1997, one of the most bizarre moments in boxing history took place when Mike Tyson bit off a portion of Evan Holyfield's ear in the third round of the much anticipated rematch. Tyson was disqualified from the bout and lost his boxing license. The World Cup, I don't watch it. Is it going peacefully? Nobody's biting off ears there? Yeah. So Tyson was disqualified. So you can imagine, how strong the mind is and what a strong influence there is that if you lose your intelligence, right? Here you are, you really want to win. And of course, you're losing and you don't like it. So Krodha has come and you lost your intelligence. And what do? You bite off that person as if you're a dog. And the results of that, you're disqualified completely like that. So Tyson was attached to what?
Boxing.
Winning. Correct. Yeah, he was attached to the fact. No, right? He was not peaceful after that episode. So then the question is that, well, it is Mike Tyson, we are laughing, but so many times we want to bite off people's ears, don't we? they drive us to that level of exasperation. And they just don't listen, it could be anybody around us, right? So the question here is that I want to get to a peaceful situation, then how can I get to that peaceful situation? What's the formula? I want that formula, Vicks formula for people, like, sore throat. And so I want you all to ponder over this thought for a few minutes. That inner peace has nothing to do with your circumstance, but has everything to do with your response to the situation. Inner peace. What is more important, outer peace or inner peace? Inner peace, right? Okay. So we are getting stimulated all the time from this material world, right? Something or other happens, right? What are the different kinds of stimuluses that you get?
Smell.
You get smell of food, okay. That's a big topic today, they just know. Any other stimulus?
World Cup final.
Sorry?
World Cup final.
The World Cup final is stimulating a lot. Yeah. I got invited actually to go and attend somebody's place, and I was like, no. I'm going Gita session, I'm better off. Yeah. Social media, yes, social media. You're constantly getting stimulation from there, and actually, it's a quality of Kali Yuga. It's a quality of Kali Yuga that people are always disturbed. Always disturbed. Like when I was growing up, there were no cell phones, so nobody disturbed me. My boss never knew where I was after 5 o'clock, right? So always been disturbed. You get up in the morning, somebody switches on their dishwasher, or you're about to sleep, somebody switches on their washing machine. So all kinds of disturbances are there. The ping, 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 and then you have to go and see, right? What message has come over here? Right? So constant disturbances are there, and if disturbances are not there coming to us from outside the world, the mind from inside is disturbing us all the time, right? All the time. So this inner peace that we want, this inner chatter that we want to stop in our mind. So you have to remember it has got nothing to do with your circumstance. It could be anything. Your circumstance could be anything. Somebody once said that, if you have your head in the oven and you have your feet in the refrigerator, you are okay because your average temperature is still the same. So that's what it is. No matter what the circumstances are around me, inner peace has got nothing to do with that. Inner peace comes from something else, like that, right? So let's look at this situation. An example of a stimulus. What do you think about this picture? When you see this, what do you think? sweet, yes,
Tasty.
tasty,
Beautiful.
Juicy.
beautiful, juicy, huh?
India.
India,
Will not try.
uh-huh.
Will not try.
Yes, ripen, okay, king of fruits. You're good people. Nobody said you want to eat it. Akshay.
Food.
Food. Thank you. Right? So that was this man who was going by this garden. He was walking on a road and he was walking by this garden and he sees this, beautiful, juicy mangoes. And of course, he gets attracted. And as he looks towards the entrance of this garden, he says, "Trespassers beware." He was not supposed to get inside, right? But these mangoes are so delicious, they're so beautiful, and he's hungry. So he gets inside, he looks around and says, "Nobody's there. Let me get it." So he goes and he gets them. And he goes, so now see what's happening. His eyes catch the information from the material world, right? Material world is giving you signals all the time, and your senses are catching those signals. So he catches the signal, he looks at the lectures, then he wants to eat it. So the mind, which is a sixth sense, mind is presenting ideas, okay? And the intelligence is saying, hey, it says no trespassers allowed. But then the soul overrides that, says, no, I want to go in. So how do you go in? The legs are walking. Those are your working senses. So you go there. Then he goes, looks again, and then he raises his hand, plucks the mango. So your hands are also coming in pictures. Look at the teamwork that's going on here, right? And then of course he, opens it from the top, presses it, the juice comes, and then he's eating. One mango, two mangoes, three mango, 4, 5, 6, and he completely oblivious. He's in mango samadhi, and all the peel and the gutli and all that are lying over here. And then suddenly, there's a big, slap on his back, and he's brought into this world from mango samadhi. And so the owner of the orchard has come. And so he starts beating him very badly with a stick. And so he gets beaten so badly, it's hurt so badly that his eyes start crying, right? So you see, it started with what? With the eyes. And it ended with the eyes. This is the material world. Yes or yes? Right. So there will be stimulus all along in your life. There will be different kinds of stimuli. But between stimulus and the response, you, the soul, have the freedom to choose. That choice is there. But it happens so fast, isn't it? We don't even know. And so devotional service and practice of devotional service, sadhana bhakti, basically increases this gap between stimulus and the response, right? Like we are walking on the street and somebody comes in the front and gives a nice slap on our face and without even knowing, we give it back. Stimulus and the response, immediate, right? So that gap has got to be increased because when the stimulus comes and between the stimulus and the response, there's a lot that happens, right? The stimulus, the knowledge is gathered. Then there is the thinking that happens. So the thinking is happening. It's a nice mango, red mango, juicy. Oh, I didn't have mangoes. I'm from India. There's no mango. Oh, how come there's mango here? Like that, the thinking is happening and I want to eat it, right? So thinking is there, then feeling, and oh, good, my good luck, feeling. Then there is willing. Willing was, I am going to go into that orchard, no matter what. The willing is there. And then the fourth step is acting. So between thinking, feeling, willing, and acting, the sooner you stop, the easier it is to stop the next few steps. For example, if you are thinking at that time itself, you know that, hey, I should not be looking at material objects. And, I heard that in the third Saturday lecture, I should not do that. So if you catch it there, you're good. But after you have felt it, if you feel bad, like somebody slapped me, I feel bad, right? After you've felt it, then it's very difficult to stop the willing. After you've willed it, it's very difficult to stop, right? So we have to catch it early, we have to stop it early. So then this poor man, his eyes betrayed him. Right? He looked at the mangoes, he saw the mangoes, and then his eyes looked at it, and catching all information. That's what the senses do. Actually, senses are seeking information all the time. It's not that information, it's not that pictures fall on our eyes. It's not like that. Our eyes are seeking pictures. That's the difference. They are consciously seeking. The nose is constantly seeking smells. Right? The tongue is constantly seeking out taste. Wants to talk like that, right? So instead of using these eyes to view this material world, right, what we should do is we should use Shastra to be our eyes. And that is known as Shastra Chakshu. Right? So when I'm being stimulated from that external world, there's so many nice things and so many nice temptations and attractions and demands and likes and dislikes, they're all being thrown at me. And I want to enjoy them, right? And I want to take them, I want to possess them, like that, the lucid, for example, right? So if you rely on Shastra, you go to Bhagavad Gita, it's a Bhagavad Gita class today, right? So 10.8 is a Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita, 4 fantastic shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. It says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samantitaha. So I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So if you're wise, then you will realize that everything which is there, like if that man would have just thought that these mangoes do not belong to me, they're not part of my quota, I should not go and get them, then he wouldn't have been beaten so badly. Right? So if you're wise, if you're a wise person, then you know. And instead of enjoying all those things, then you will use them in the service of Krishna. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, when he was a young boy of 5 years old, his father brought some mangoes home. And he was a 5-year-old and he ate the mangoes. And his father said, how could you, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said, how could you eat the mangoes? They were meant for Lord. How could you eat them before they were offered to the Lord? A 5-year-old child said, I'm not going to eat mangoes for the rest of my life. And he did not eat mangoes, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So strong was a thing inside his mind that, even in a small child's body and a small child's mind, which is not very much developed, he could make that decision. That yes, aham sarvasya prabhavo, I am the source of everything, spiritual as well as the material world. Everything just belongs to me. Okay? So if we keep that in our mind, I'm going to now ask you this question, and I'm glad that I made this PowerPoint deck here. So is that lucid or no? So who does this belong to?
Elon Musk.
If you know that, then you will be happy. So based on what we just read here, aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam prabhavate, who does this belong to? It belongs to the Lord. Yeah, everybody answered that question, right? So if it belongs to the Lord, then your mind is going to tell you, hey, Bhagavad Gita 15.7, it says, Mame vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. He says, all the souls are part and parcels of me. Like, oh yeah, Krishna is my daddy. I can use my daddy's car. What's wrong about doing that? Let me just do it, right? I can do that. Then there is Ishopanishad that says, Ishavasyam vidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjitha magridha kasya siddhanam. What it says? Everything animate or inanimate, that's it, covers everything. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord, which means that if you try to, touch the car, the Tesla, you're going to be slapped. Owned, controlled, and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself. How much are things necessary for us? How much is our need?
Food, water, shelter.
Very good. Very good. And I'll just elaborate on that and I'll ask you, how much food do we need? And be careful of what you answer, because I'll be observing you later. How much? There is enough for every man's need. There's not enough for a single man's greed. Right? So we have to keep that in mind. So here it's saying, It should accept only those things which are necessary in himself, which are set aside as his quota. Quota, right? I mean, Elon Musk, but just because he's Elon Musk and he owns, Tesla, it doesn't mean that he has all the money so he can eat 1,000 chapatis. His quota is still there. And, from what I know about all these big shows, they hardly get time to eat. They might be eating less than, a teenager, like that. So because everybody has a quota, right? Halfway through the life, if you eat too much of sugar, halfway through the life, you have diabetes, and the doctor says, no more sugar for you. That's it, your quota is over. Right? So things have been settled for us as our quota. And we should not accept anything that doesn't belong to the quota. Otherwise, you'll have stick on your back. Right? You saw the story of the man, right? Knowing well who they belong. So then the question is that, okay, I'm here in this world, poor soul, and you're saying nothing belongs to me, and you won't allow me to touch it. Where have I landed, oh my Lord? I was sailing and plunk, I'm here, bang in the middle of the water, right? So what do I do? So a few slides ago, we got a new pair of eyes, right? What was this new pair of eyes? Shastra Chakshu, right? You see this picture? What is so special about this picture? Anything you see in this picture? What do you see?
Wow.
Flowers, very good.
You.
Below the Guru, okay. What is this?
All books.
Those are all books, right? Those are all books written and translated by the Guru in the middle. Like that. So use books, use Shastra. So now we are told that, hey, you cannot enjoy this, you cannot enjoy that. So let us see what are we going to do now. How is the Shastra going to help me? Right? I'm feeling like I'm here. Right? You just now took away everything that I had, which I thought I had, at least, and now Krishna is saying everything belongs to me, and then you have your own little quota. What am I going to do? So, 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, Bhoktaram yakya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhidam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantirichyati. So, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, he just told us, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. After that, what can I say? He created everything, so he owns everything, right? Like if we write a little piece of software at our work, we say patent. I hold so many patents, copyright, so on, trademark, so on and so forth. We want to put our stuff there, right? So we are very good at doing that, and we are very smart at doing that as well. I remember when I was growing up, there was this story that was going around which said that there was once the countries, there was a summit where people from different scientists from different countries came and they met, and everybody was trying to show how technically advanced they were. And so the Russian came, and the Russians said that within a span of 1 week they were able to create a very long wire or cable which was very thick in diameter, very, very thick, and it was completely the engineering was just perfect, perfect dimensions throughout, uniform directions and everything like that. So they showed it, and everybody clapped, and then it was time for the Americans to say, like, what can you do now? So the Americans, they thought, and then they said, okay, we'll have a demonstration. So everybody came for the demonstrations. That wire was brought, and then they did something. They pressed some buttons on a computer. They had written in software, and there was a blast. And then a hole was drilled throughout that cable, a perfect hole, same size throughout, everything nicely done. So everybody was very happy. Now time came for the Indians. What are you going to do? So then they raked their brains. What do we do now? So then when the time came for them to go get the demonstration, they went there and they said, made in India. So that's what we do. It's all made by God, right? But we go and put our stamp on it. If there was a patent that was created, who do you think gave you the intelligence? From where did that intelligence came, right? Sarvasya jaham vidhi sannivishto I am in everybody's heart. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Everything's come from me in your mind, whatever happens, right? So he's saying Bhoktaram. So Krishna is always saying that I am the one who's the enjoyer. So just imagine the moment we change our attitude towards the material world from I am the enjoyer, Atmendriya Priti, right? Atma Indriya, my own senses. I want to satisfy them. To Krishnendriya Priti, I want to satisfy Krishna, right? So it's a complete shift in the dynamics of your life. You have just understand this. Bhoktaram yagatapasam. Whatever you do, like people will do a yagya. I want a promotion, let's do a yagya. I want a son, let's do a yagya. I want a beautiful wife, let's do a yagya. My business is failing, I want money, let's do another yagya. There are so many yagyas you can do, right? Vedas are full of yagyas, right? So, but those are all for you. How about doing some yagya for Krishna? That's what he's telling you. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the Maheshwar. Ishwar is controller, Maha Ishwar is Maha controller. Right? Suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatmanam shanti richati. But what he's saying is that I am the Surhid. Now, this is the better part, right? That I am the Surhid. Surhid means the benefactor. I am also the benefactor. So, although he owns everything, although he controls everything, he is like your friend. He's a benefactor. He's a well-wisher. Right? So, Gyatma Mam, if you understand that I am that I am the supreme enjoyer, I am the supreme controller, but I'm also your friend, right? So imagine if the vice president, who's the whole and soul of the company, comes and says, "I'm your friend," you'll be very happy. You'll go home and tell your spouse, "You know what? PP said I'm your friend," right? So once you know that, what will happen? Shantim. What is Shantim? Peace. So you will get peace only when we change our attitude and a way of looking towards it, right? And so, do you think that Krishna ever acts as a friend?
Yes.
Yes, he does. He's your friend. Nice. So what occasion is this? Govardhan Lila, right? So he was a friend. He took care of the whole village and he held it on his little pinky finger, right? What occasion is this? Chirharan, right? So in Chirharan, what had happened with Draupadi? Somebody's kind of trying to pull her clothes, right? And then what she does, she first turns to Bhishmatama and says, like, you are the elderly, do something about it. Then she turns to her husbands, 5 of them. They are saying, you already lost in gambling. We can't help you, right? Then she relies on herself. She starts holding her sari tight, right? That will be the instinct. If you pull anybody's clothes, they will hold on to that, right? It's only when she surrenders to Krishna and throws up her hands like that. You can imagine somebody's pulling a sari. The last thing you'll do is to throw up your hands, right? But she throws up her hands and says, "Hey, Govind." She calls out to Govind and Govind comes. Right? He is your friend. We just have to call out to him, right? You have to call out to him with that earnest in your heart and say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Which occasion is this one?
When Krishna says the kids and the cows from the farm that was going to burn down.
Yeah, so there were kids and cows for the benefit of those who are sitting in the back, for the benefit of the cows and the calves who were surrounded by fire. Now, what had happened before that? How come they landed in that situation? Inside the fire, right? So what had happened was that the cows and calves, they wandered off to a section of the forest and they found that the grass was much, much more green on that side. So they went off there. And then as they go there, then they realize there was a fire on that side and suddenly the fire comes and engulfs them, right? So does anybody relate to this incident in your life? Anytime it happened, you went off and then you got stuck in that. Not literally fire, but fire, like that, right? So we also get attracted when we do that, but Krishna is there to save us, right? Second one is going to make you hungry. Which story is this? Yes, okay. Aksha's gonna get all the points today.
An empty pot of butter.
Empty pot of butter. Okay, but you'll have to tell me the story around it.
Ah.
Okay, prompts are allowed. Do you know the story?
I think he
Who knows the story of Akshay Patra? Akshay Patra's story? The Draupadi story, right? So when the Pandavas were in Vanvas, right? They're cooking and then who comes? Durvasa.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Yeah,
Now I know.
now you know that. Krishna's giving you the memory now. Yeah, right? So Akshay Patra, Krishna comes to the rescue, right? And he eats a little bit, and when Krishna is satisfied, the rest of the world is satisfied. So Durvasa many gets a tummy full. So now this is not for now, but when you go back home, I want you to think about this, and that is, when was the time Krishna behaved as a friend to me? Right? Think about these things. We constantly should be thinking this actually. Right? And then a question here is that we talk about friends, right? Anybody have friends here? Do you have friends? Only one person has friends? Two, three, four. Bring prasadam, Mataji. People are tired. So the question here is that how far will the mortal friend accompany you? Right? How far will the mortal friend? Till you die. Right? After you die, even the wife doesn't follow. Right? She leaves. But look at Krishna. Sarvasya chaham hidi sannivishto mattasmiti jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahmev vedyo vedanta kritveda videva cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. So when you think about this, like Krishna almost sounds like a mom, when the child is small, 3 years old, and the child is being sent to school, the mom's heart is breaking, that little child has to go to school. And that's what Yashoda also used to do. When Krishna would leave the home to go take care of the cows outside, he will say, okay, Krishna, you eat. And then Krishna would eat breakfast. And then she would pack the lunch. He said, okay, the lunch is here. And then he would call one of his friends and say, just make sure he eats the lunch. And the friend would say, yes. And then he would call Krishna again. I don't think he'll remember. Okay, why don't you eat half of the lunch here? Like that. So it's very difficult for Yashoda to leave Krishna. And that's the same feeling Krishna has for us, because he's also a Mata, Dhata, Pita, Mahat, right? He's a mother, father, grandfather, everything. So he also has a feeling. So we are away from him. We decided to leave the spiritual world and come here into the material world to enjoy. So we feel, so Krishna feels bad. And what he's doing, like a mom would like to, climb into the backpack of the child and go into the school with the child. Krishna actually does that. He is in our heart, right? He stays there in our heart. And the famous, from the Upanishad, we see that two companion birds, they sit together, right? The soul and the super soul are in this body, which is like a tree. And the soul, what it does is just enjoying different kinds of fruits. Sometimes happy, sometimes bitter fruit, sometimes sweet fruit, so on and so forth. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad. Keeps on doing all this, all the time. And the other bird is just quietly watching, right? And it's only when the bird turns its face towards Krishna, right? That's when the miracle starts to happen. That's when you took one step to Krishna now by turning your head towards Krishna. So Krishna is now going to take 10 steps towards you. That's the way he reciprocates, Not like us, like, okay, how much did he give me for my birthday? Okay, it was $100. Okay, not like that. Just, avalanche, he'll give it to you an avalanche. So everything seems to be so good, right? So we are actually related to the most rich person in the world, Krishna. Forget about Elon Musk. He's nothing compared to Krishna, right? So, if everything is so good, is it really good? Is Krishna really my friend?
Yeah.
Do we always get that feeling? Or do we get the feeling, why is Krishna doing this to me? So life sometimes doesn't seem logical. You are saying, Krishna is saying 5 plus 5 is 12, and you're like, oh, my kindergarten teacher didn't tell me that. It's difficult for me to digest that, right? For example, Arjuna was bewildered in Mahabharata. He's just saying that, oh, you want me to kill Bhishma? He's my grandpa. How can I kill him? Right? And how will I enjoy? Kinno bhogena rajena, how will I do? How will I, Papa Meva, I'll get sin, all that kind of thing he's saying, and he cries in the end like that. He's completely bewildered. He's a Kshatriya, famous person, and see what he's doing. He has his hand on his head. Right? So life might not seem logical, but life is what is called as teleological. Not logical, teleological. So what does teleological mean? Right? Teleological means that relating to, right, or involving the explanation of some phenomena that is happening around you in terms of the purpose they serve rather than the cause. And once you get into the mood of looking things in life in a teleological manner, it's a guarantee you will get peace in life. Because if you start looking at the cause of things happening to me, right? Why is this happening? I'm chanting 16 rounds. Why does bad things happen to good people? Why? We're looking at the cause, right? Why was I laid off? I was such a good performer. Why was the cause, right? But then if you look at the results, after I got laid off, I had 4 months and then I did intense devotional service over there. And then I got a job which was much better than the first one and paying me twice. But I was so attached to my first job that I would not let go. Then Krishna had to come and yank you out of that, right? So when you start looking at that, right? So between stimulus and the response, you have the freedom to choose. Okay? So again, one more piece of homework for you is, when was the time Krishna behaved as my friend, but I thought that he was being inimical to me? Think about it, like an enemy. Inimical, right? And always remember that if you give everything in Krishna's hands, you will start to see Krishna's hands in everything. It's a very powerful statement. Because once you are surrendered to Krishna, you're given everything to Krishna. Narayana parasarve nakutaschana vidyati swarga pavarga narkeshwa api tulyartha darshinaha. So Narayana, when somebody who surrendered to Krishna, to him hell or heaven does not matter. And it was this hell and heaven concept that was, robbing us of our peace of mind. Because I wanted heaven and I was being doled out hell. I was not liking it. But then, all that a devotee wants it, I don't care where I am. You put me in heaven, you put me in hell, you put me in Egypt, you put me in America, Alaska, wherever you want me to put me. All that I wanted, mana janmane, bhakti ahedati thoi. All that I want is life after life. I just want devotional service to you, Lord. If I have got that, then I'm the most peaceful and the most rich person in the world. So Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, Ateva Shanta. Bhukti Mukti Siddhakami Sakala Shanta. So, because a devotee of Krishna is desireless, he desires only for Krishna, he is peaceful. Fruitive workers, they desire material enjoyment. Jnanis want liberation. Yogis desire mystic powers. They're all unhappy. Only a bhakta will stay peaceful like that. And then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Nasti buddhi ayuktasya nacha yuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shantir ashantasya kutashakam. So one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. Till your mind is not at peace, is not at rest, you will not get peace. And then how can there be any happiness without peace? Okay, so what we talked about today, devotional service to the Lord, realizing that he's the owner, he's the enjoyer. I should only take as much has been set aside as my quota. And above all, Krishna is my friend. And to look at life in a teleological manner, not at the cause of it, but as at the end results that are being posed there, then that will be the one and only big formula for you to get peace and happiness in life. Yeah. So thank you so much for patiently listening to us. So I just want to ask Mataji, we have some time for question answers? We have? What time do we start the Dhamma Commission? 8:15. Okay. So we have 15 minutes over here. We can spend that in any time, any which way that we like. Any reflections, any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to get one more example of theological versus why it happened, and then how we can actually use the peace.
How it actually gives? Last part?
Peace.
Peace to the person, right? So what happens is that I can give one more example from my life, right? So I was in India and well, a little late to that. I was in India and Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami. I was not Siddhi Kami, I was not Mukti Kami, I was definitely Bhukti Kami. Enjoy life to the fullest. You know, I worked for a multinational company, big money coming in, and I bought a car which was, there was Marutis, which was for middle class people like me. And then there was premium Padmini, which was twice the cost of that. And I wanted twice the cost of that. So I went and got a better job. And then when I got that, then that was, I think, close to 2 lakhs, right? 1,54,000, something like that, which was a big amount of money at that time. And then as soon as I got the card, you will not believe, premium Padmini came up with premium NV, which was 6 lakhs. And I wanted that. So constantly agitated in the mind. So that was one thing. And the second thing also was that I studied engineering, and at that time the Indian government, was not very happy with the fact that people used to study in India. They used to spend at least 3 lakh rupees to make an engineer, so people used to do engineering and then you'd come to America. And so obviously the government doesn't like the brain drain. And so they didn't like it. And I was very passionate about it. And I was like, no, I will never leave India. And I will be there. And there was no need for me to leave India. You've got good money. You're thinking of buying the NV, the Lucid of those days. And that's it, And then the circumstances changed and I had to come to America. And there was a big resistance from my side. Big, big, big resistance. For the longest time, when I came to America, I was like, okay, fine, I have to do this. Whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. And then 9 years in staying in America, I came across the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And I read it the whole night and the next night and the next night. And by the end of 7 days, I had become a vegetarian. And I was a hoarder also. America, you hoard things, right? Buy one, get one free. So I had like 6 dinner sets and I had never used them, not even opened them from the boxes. And so I called one of my friends who was not very well and well off. So I came and I started giving her things. You take it, I don't know, you take it, you can poke that arm. Mom, you just keep whatever is set aside as a quota. And I had hoarding so much. And so she said, she took it all and then she was a very jolly person. And so she said, do you have cancer? And I was like, no, but I have Bhagavad Gita. So I could not understand. So in the beginning, when I came here, I was resisting the fact a lot that why I had to come here. And later on, when the Bhagavad Gita came, then again, when Prabhupada was literally shouting from every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that get a spiritual master, get a spiritual master. And then our mind started again. See, if you were in India, you would have gotten a spiritual master, nice spiritual master. And now here you are in this God-forsaken country. What are you doing here? I did not know that my future spiritual master was living less than 5 miles away from my home for the last 9 years. And I did not know that. And then finally, when I came here, I took to devotional service, got such a fantastic devotee association, got a fantastic spiritual master. So then if you start looking at the life teleologically, right, at that time it was like, why is this happening to me? I want to be in India. 3 lakhs rupees was spent on me. But now, coming to America and earning money in America, I'm able to go and distribute Bhagavatam sets in India, hundreds of them. like that. And I was not doing that when I was in India. I didn't even touch, I didn't even have a Bhagavad Gita in my home to talk about that. So Krishna has some plans. And so when you get into that mood of thinking in this way, thinking teleologically, that what is the end result that Krishna is trying to do with me? And Suhrid Sarva Bhutanam, he's my friend. So when somebody is a friend, then you have faith in the friend, right? Then you faith in the friend. So when you are saying, then actually, for me, life becomes very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, because when difficulties come in my life, my curiosity goes like, what is Krishna wanting me to learn from this? What is Krishna wanting me to learn from this? Because when you come out of a difficult situation, if you survive the difficult situation, then survival of the fittest. Right? So you become very, very fit. So it's just training and taming the mind over and over and again, and also being in association of people who think teleologically. Right? Otherwise, there are people who can just, add fuel to the fire, and we're all on fire, isn't it? If we go like 2 miles inside the earth, there's fire there, right? So literally, we are sitting on top of fire. But so that's one example, and I strongly say that try to see Krishna's hand in everything, even in the worst of the situation, and even the worst of the situation that happens in our life gets us spiritual progress. Spiritual progress doesn't mean that a person will be able to memorize the whole Bhagavad Gita or chant certain things very nicely. It's not like that, right? Spiritual progress basically first means that you get rid of your bad habits. Lust, anger, deceit, lust, anger, lust, biggest problem is lust. Lust, anger, greed. So lust is desire. When you desire something, that's lust. So greed is wanting more than what you get, like that. So devotional service first is to clear all that, and that is the thing that actually is covering your heart. Krishna says, "Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto." He's staying there. I don't see him. Why do I not see him? Because there's a dust in my heart. There is a dust in my heart. That's why the Shishtaskam says, "Cheto darpana marjanam," that you clean the mirror of your mind. By the way, where is the mind located in the body? Here? You lost your mind? Where is the mind? Yeah, mind is in the soul. Mind is material. Remember, mind is material. It's subtle, but it's material. Soul is spiritual, right? So mind and the soul and the super soul, all three of them are in your heart. Right? Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto. I am in your heart. So if Krishna is my heart, why can I not see him? Right? Because we have layers and layers of dust. What is the dust in the heart? And the heart is weak. What were the 2 weaknesses of the heart? Enjoy the matter and attachment to the matter. So all those things, once you enjoy matter, want to enjoy matter, attach to the matter, then all those thoughts are going to be created. And where are those thoughts? The thoughts are in the mind. So all those thoughts, all those bad habits, greed, bad memories, bad intentions, bad desires, all of them are in the heart. So once you remove them, it's like dust on a mirror. Once you remove that mirror, then you'll be able to see it. So you'll see Krishna there. So devotional service, the first step in devotional service is to first clean the mirror of the heart. And how do you clean the mirror of the heart? If there's a dust in something, right? So what do you do? If there's dust somewhere, you take this and then you like this, you vibrate it. So similarly, if there is dust in my heart, how are you going to do? How are you going to remove it? Vibrate it. Right? Now you can't go and shake the heart like that, right? That's going to cause you problems. So instead, we use a very subtle method, right? So now, earlier there used to be, if you were to be operated on, that there was a stone in the kidney. They used to give a very big incision actually, to reach the stone and then remove the stone. But nowadays, what do they do? Small hole, laparoscopic surgery. Even better than that, what do they do? Laser, yeah, or ultrasound, right? And it breaks, right? So sound is very powerful. So if you want to shake your heart, you should use sound. And what is the sound that you use to shake your heart? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's nice. I like it. Going on and on. Don't want to stop. That is devotion service. Any other questions? Any reflections? Reflections are good. I don't have to answer them.
So you mentioned that you ask for Krishna's hand and seek for help, or like you constantly think, okay, you're there and you just believe in him every time, right? So what's the process of your when you want to talk, kind of connect with him? What is the process that you do on day to day?
How do you connect with Krishna on a day-to-day basis, right? So let's suppose there's I'm just saying, a teenager girl has got a crush on a boy. What are the means she will use to connect with him? How will we win that boy's? How will she win that boy's heart?
Be in constant touch with.
How do you get in touch with him? Sorry.
Try to impress.
Try to impress by how? How will you impress that boy?
Know more about that boy, understand what he's liking, dislikes, and then do what he likes.
Fantastic, right? So similarly, when you want to try to get connected to Krishna, you have to know about Krishna, and you will know about Krishna through which eyes? Shastra Chakshu, right? Know about him, like his dislikes, and then so do we know what Krishna likes to eat? Right? And then which sabji he likes, what kind of puris he likes, what sweets he likes. That is the research you have to do, right? And then do the whole thing, right? We can't just give butter to Krishna. He likes other things also. Radharani prepares 1,000 dishes, 1,008 dishes for him every day. And every day they are new. And she has never repeated the dishes. Right? So that's the level of devotion that Radharani does. It could be or not Radharani. We can always start. So know about Krishna. So that's one thing. Second is that you will do what he likes and you will not do what he does not like. Right? So regulative principles. So now how will we know what Krishna doesn't like? Then get a spiritual master, read from the books, then they will guide you. Right? Or get devotee association, come here. And the second thing is also, when I sometimes walk across or go on a walk and there are this bunch of teenager girls going and they go like, oh, he's so cute. So same thing we do. Like, Krishna is so cute. We do Krishna Katha. You glorify Krishna. So Hidvag Vapupir Vidudha Namaste. So from our heart, from our throat, and from our whole body, we glorify Krishna. Right? That is the way to impress him. And how do you connect with him? Devotional service, chanting, cooking for him, reading his books, staying in the dham. All this will get connected to Krishna. And he will speak. He will speak to you, provided we stop talking. The mind chatter in the mind has to stop. And that will come in this yoga. It will only come through chanting, right? Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam Kalau Nastiyava, Nastiyava, Nastiyava Katin. So with this, I'll stop here. I got the indication from there. We are a little over. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha goprimanande hari hari bol.
Thank you so much, Shraddha Mataji. We will purify our heart. At least we vibrate from today.
Thank you.
Yeah, that connection from desire, contemplation, all the way to last, like there was kind of like, I kind of don't know that, but like a dot connecting all those dots today, like made me realize, oh my God, like I know it, but I did not know it. So thank you so much for the knowledge. Thank you, Vrinda, for the beautiful song, the chanting in the beginning. And sorry, I don't know the name of the persons who played the instrument, like the mridanga. Thank you so much. That really made us to go with the tradition. Thank you, Ravindra, for driving the students. And finally, we are done with A, and then we are going to D, diet. We have pakoras and appetizer from Mataji, paneer sabji, dal, rice, roti, and puri from Syama Mataji. Right? And the roti and puris are brought from Manju Mataji and Swati Mataji. And there's a fruit custard our some sweet from Swati Mataji, and the special Gopal special triumphs papad from Narmada Mataji. Hope we are going to have an awesome feast in the rain. Like when it's raining, the priams and bakora. Like, looking forward to it. I'm not going to stand in between you and the food. Okay. Thank you all for coming again in the rain. Like it's great to see. I didn't expect to see these many people because it was raining. It's really wonderful to see so many people here, even though it's raining. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. And Pramila ji who is taking care of the kids.
Yeah, Pramila ji is taking care of the kids. Special thanks to her. That's very important so that we could continue our lesson here. And Ramesh and his family for helping set up, which is very important. And we have a lot of thanks because